Hi, my name is Lori Alexander, and before I begin my talk, what I'm going to talk about, I want to let you know that I've been following Doug Wilson from Canon Press for a long time, and I like him. I agree with him almost 100%. And his daughter, Rebecca, and Rachel, I think they're amazing. They teach amazing stuff. Rebecca just had Even Exile come out. I remember reading that book, and there was a part in it I didn't agree with and I couldn't remember. But today they came out with something on their Instagram that I 100% disagree with, and I was incredibly disappointed. And I just wanted to go through the slides that they shared and why I disagree with them. The first one says, the feminists say being a wife and mother is a brainless, menial occupation. But the conservatives respond by saying, well, that's how we like it. They are completely agreed on the fact that a woman doesn't need a brain to be a wife and mother and homemaker. Do you know any conservative that agrees with that thinks we don't need a brain to be a wife and mother? I'm thinking of most conservatives. It's going to go on to push higher education. Most conservatives push higher educations. I think I'm one of the few that does not, and I get blasted about that, but we'll go into that more with the next slides. But for them to say that conservatives agree that women don't need brains to be, she said that women don't need a brain to be a wife, a mother, and a homemaker. I don't know or ever have known one conservative that has ever even come close to believing anything like that. So I don't know where they're getting their information at, but this was incredibly disappointing. So then the next slide says, then you have people that are like, maybe she's going to need to support herself, so we'll give her an education as a safety net. We completely swallowed the feminist lie. On that one, I wasn't exactly sure what they were trying to get across, but a lot of women do say they're going to get an education for a safety net, and I don't agree with that. I believe we trust in God. We don't need to spend mass amounts of money to be indoctrinated in godless humanist education, higher educational colleges to get a degree that will keep us far from God's will. So I'm not sure exactly what she meant in that one, but the next one says, Doug says, the level to which you educate your daughters is the level to which your grandsons are likely to be educated. I don't agree with that one. Why does that, for women who understand what college has become, even Christian colleges, I attended a Christian college back in the late 70s, and they taught me nothing about being a godly wife and mother or pursuing marriage and motherhood. It was pretty much, training us to be career women. And I didn't feel like I grew in wisdom or knowledge there. I didn't like what I was learning there. So I've gotten the wisdom and knowledge and discernment that I have now from reading my Bible, from godly older women like Debbie Pearl, and from listening to godly preachers. That's how I've grown in the wisdom and the knowledge of the Lord. And I didn't need my college education to do that. And then the next screen says, and men, my sons, one of them, they went on to higher education because they need careers. If your son wants to be a doctor or a lawyer that needs higher education, then they should do that because they will continue to work. They're not going to be having babies. They're not going to be missing out on their lives of being married and having children like women do if they pursue higher education. So then Doug wrote again, I don't think it's possible to disparage education for women without disparaging education. I just did. I feel like women went to college and it hasn't benefited women at all. Most college campuses are full of fornication, alcohol, drugs. The professors are very progressive, humanistic. They don't even know what a woman is anymore. Christian colleges aren't that much better. There's just maybe a handful of Christian colleges that still stick to biblical principles. I know my daughter wanted to go to Master's University and take the home economics class, but my husband said, spend that much money to learn what you can learn from your mom, or YouTube's. So they don't prepare women for college, for being godly wives and mothers. They make them stronger and more independent, stronger, not in the way that we need strength, to go through trials and everything. And I was going to get ahead of myself, but this next screen I think says it. And then Rebecca says, a wife has enormous sway over her husband. If you have a bunch of uneducated ninnies in that position, the men are hosed. I don't know what hose means, sorry about that, but uneducated ninnies. No, what women need to be educated in is to becoming godly, submissive wives. They don't need the education, any education that the world has to offer them. That, in fact, up to 80% of divorces are initiated by women, and up to 90% of those are educated women. So I have no idea what she's saying, uneducated ninnies, that, like they're destroying their husbands. My mom and most of our friends were uneducated, and they're using educated to mean college, higher education, because everybody in this nation is educated. They all know how to read, there's public schooling, they all know how to do basic math. So when they say educated, they're definitely talking about higher education. For some reason, all the education you get before college doesn't seem to matter to most people. And then the next slide says, we all know that the wrong woman can completely destroy a man who had all sorts of promise and potential. I totally agree with that. Women all the time are tearing their homes down with their hands, and by being contentious, quarrelsome, unsubmissive, denying their husband sexually. In so many ways, women are tearing their homes down. I agree there. But then her next sentence says, an uneducated woman is a lethal situation. My mom's generation was uneducated and they were not lethal. All of her friends, every single one, stayed married until death do they part. My oldest daughter now, all of her friends practically are already divorced. There's no way that an uneducated woman is a lethal situation. I think that higher education has made women into being more lethal from what I have seen and witnessed. I don't see how education of this world, or even in a Christian college, which purpose is to prepare women for careers, makes them better wives and mothers. I don't. It wasn't until I read Debbie Pearl's book, this old hillbilly girl, but it was full of wisdom, godly wisdom, and she's the one who taught me how to be the wife that God has called me to be. Then the next slide says, I guess that's it. So anyway, that was really disappointing to read those slides. And I have no clue why they push education so much and act like that's the be all and end all to being good women, godly women, submissive wives, having loving, incredible children. College, to me, has done more to damage our nation than anything else besides feminism. I think feminism is the thing that began the whole downward spiral of our nation. As John Adams, one of our presidents from the 1700s, said that he studied all these great nations, and it was when women left their domestic duties and their modesty that nations were destroyed. And John MacArthur recently, I don't know if it was recent, it might have been 5 years ago, I just listened to it, but he said the two things that have destroyed our nation were done by the Supreme Court in allowing abortion and same-sex marriage. But you can trace both of those back to feminism. And college is just making women more and more feminist and feminized, not godly, submissive wives. So I completely disagree with them on this issue. And I was sad to see that they would make a mockery of, of conservatives, that we promote that kind of stuff. No, I promote biblical womanhood, not anything that the colleges have to offer to women. So anyway, that's my little rant today. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.